Hi guys, Josh. Little change of scenery. Shoulder's been really bothering me, so I'm in bed. But we need to have a conversation. We need to change the narrative on the gun owners. We need to show we're willing to include anybody. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, gray, green. I don't give a shit. If you're legal to own guns, we need to be reaching out to those folks. We need to stop the gatekeeping. The number one purchaser of new weapons year after year, month after month, for the last 5 years have been women. Number two, people of color. The only demographic that has lost percentage in the last 5 years is the white male. We need to stop the gatekeeping. We need to open our arms and welcome all to the community. But we need to acknowledge something in the process. The average view of a gun owner is going to be a white male, 30s to 50s. That's the average. That's what you see in the advertisements. That's what you see pretty much on TV, all that. And we need to help change that. We need to bring stories and examples of white people, or of females, of people of color. We need to help their stories grow. We need to stop gatekeeping and keeping the 2A community as the old white boys club, because it's not. And realistically, if we don't adapt in the next 10 years or so, we're not gonna have a 2A community that we recognize. I'm all for bringing anybody in there. I don't care if they're white, black, purple, green, blue. I've said this before. I'll say it again. My ex pretty consistently says, I want everyone that's legal to own. But we need to acknowledge, at the same time, we need to acknowledge our own personal biases. And we need to be willing to teach new folks and bring them into the community and not scare them away. I love my Gucci guns. I love my Glocks. But for the average single parent, that may be out of their budget range. So let's introduce some budget options. PSA. Are they top of the line? Absolutely not. And they've never said they were. What they've always said they were are budget-friendly guns that can get a reasonably priced, good manufactured firearm. It's not going to be precision, but they can get good, budget-friendly firearms into the hands of more Americans And the more Americans we have in the gun community, the stronger our fight is to retake some of the infringements back. The louder our voice becomes, the more likely it becomes that the NFA is gone. That all these restrictions that we've put up with for 90 some years are gone. And we're only going to gain that strength if we're willing to adapt. So let's adapt. Let's figure out how we adjust our story to include more people. I'm far from perfect. I fully admit my bias. I like my Glocks. I like some of my higher dollar guns. But you know what? I'll show them my $250 pistol, my $1,400 rifle built out, $700 if you don't include the optic. And I'll show them, hey, this is one option. This might be a way to get your foot in the door. Let's bring that focus to mind. Let's get rid of the gatekeeping. Let's get rid of, oh, it's got to be Gucci. Let's acknowledge our own biases and be willing to adapt our message for the audience. Here's my question, and I'm legit. How are we going to keep the infringements we've pushed back on, and we've won those rights back, if we're not pressuring and we're not adding voices and strength to our community? And the only way we're going to add voice and strength to our community is by bringing in those new guys. Those guys that have never hunted. Those guys in the urban centers that don't have the availability to pop outside and shoot off 100 rounds. Now, I'm going to go a little bit off tangent here, but I can tie it back in. I live in Iowa. I've been pretty open about that. I'm not going to tell you what part of Iowa, but whatever. Iowa uses part of their licensing fees for hunting, as well as a straight rate. I believe it's $1 of every ammo purchase, and I believe it's 10% of all firearms. Don't quote me on that. I do not know the numbers off the top of my head. But that money goes back into public land use, for maintenance, for upkeep, for rehabbing areas like natural parks, your lakes, your state parks, your county parks, your public wildlife areas. And Iowa's starting to see a crisis, and I hope there's a plan, but I don't know that there is. In the last 30 years, Iowa has lost almost 30% of its hunting population. In-state and out-of-state hunters combined. Iowa used to be a mecca for pheasant hunting, for deer hunting. Iowa used to be one of those unsung little honey holes. But in the last 30 years, in the last 30 or so years, I believe it's since the 1990s, we've lost 30%. using 2024 numbers, that is between $4 and $5 million per year Iowa has lost for funding environmentalism and conservation efforts. All because we've turned away gun owners. We've turned away people that want to get into the 2A community in Iowa, but don't know how. So how are we going to change that? I don't know. I am one man trying like hell to introduce everyone I know to guns. Black, white, purple, gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, trisexual, transsexual, amosexual. I don't care. If they are legal, I invite them out to come shoot. If they've never held a gun before in their life, I walk them through basic safety steps. And then I let them shoot safely. Is that the right answer? I don't know. But at least I'm helping them explore. Now, getting back to my tangent here. There's a lot of women, especially newer to the gun community, that don't know what they don't know. So let's not be stupid. Seasoned gun owners, as funny as fuck as it is, and I admit, I've laughed my ass off at them too. Let's not scare new folks off from guns. Let's not give them a 3.5-inch turkey load out of a 12 gauge as their first time ever shooting. As funny as it is, that's just poisoning the well. Because we went and turned someone that was on the fence from guns to die hard against them. And we just shot ourselves in the foot. But if we can do it safely, if we can bring them into the community safely, and let them experience the fun that it can be, we might have just earned a new gun lover for life. And is that not worth swallowing our own prides for a little bit? You tell me. I see the conversations on X. Hell, I stir a few of the conversations up on X. Let's get out, let's talk to folks. Let's understand why they do what they do, why their beliefs are what they may believe. Pro-gun, anti-gun, I don't care. Let's open those conversations up. Because you know what? Even if they're diehard anti-gun, social media is a tool we don't use well as gun owners. So yeah, we may talk to anti-gun folks. You see me do it all the time, and I do it knowing I'm going to get resistance and fight back. But you know what I get? A lot. I'll get 3, 5, 6 DMs saying, "Hey, can you help me? Can you talk with me about guns?" And I'm a lowly voice. I'm 1,200 followers. I am not that powerful. So let's stop the infighting and let's try to build bridges. Try to reach across the lines. Try to help people. Yeah, long day, tired. learn the community without shoving it down their throats and without scaring them half to death. Anywho, that's all I gotta say. I got a work thing I gotta do this weekend. So, video, maybe not being recorded. I've got a couple buddies I gotta hit them up again in the morning. See if they want to do some Sunday shooting. And then I'm going to hopefully try and edit this Friday, August 8th, as I'm recording this. I'm going to try and hopefully edit it, blast it tonight so I can load it overnight and have it up in the morning. But I'll leave you with this. Luke 22:36 in the Bible. And I'm taking just a piece of that. If a man has no cloak, or if a man has no sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. If a man has no sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. And then Teddy Roosevelt. Famous quote by Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Gun owners, we need to stop screaming at the anti-gun people that they're evil, that they are stupid, that they are moronic, that they are... Insert negative expletive at them right here. Let's bring our voices down from the hate. And let's open that conversation up. But let's remember the other half of that saying. Carry a big stick. Let's remember that Bible verse. If a man hath no sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one. Let's show the world that the average American gun owner can beat anybody, and that they aren't looking to harm someone, but rather they acknowledge the inherent evil is present in the world, and we're just preparing ourselves if we need to. But have a good day, guys.